Graf will be back in a couple of weeks. Right now, I'm very excited because I'm about to be joined by an acting legend. Patrick Stewart is one of Britain's most versatile performers, currently playing two demanding Shakespeare roles back-to-back with the RSC. He's also a hero to sci-fi fans the world over. Here's a reminder of his career to date. You'll know Patrick Stewart for his memorable face, bald pate and deep voice.
She's a predator.
He first came to mass attention when he played Captain Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek. And then he gave the world another commanding character, Professor Charles Xavier in the X-Men films, fighting for the education and protection of mutant children. More recently, he was on our TV screens in Ricky Gervais's comedy Extras, parodying his own screen self.
Very good. Well, I need a rewrite, but in the meantime, if you could give it to anyone that you know in TV or film.
Yes, definitely. I will make it so.
But before his Hollywood career, he spent decades performing Shakespeare plays with the RSC. And now he's returning to his roots.
Lie thou there, my art.
And Patrick is here with me now. Welcome.
Thank you, Laura.
So, Patrick, you're back in London, treading the boards. How does it feel?
Well, to be back in the UK and to be performing Shakespeare with the Royal Shakespeare Company was one of my dreams for years. While I was allegedly living this glamorous life in Los Angeles, in fact, to be here doing what I'm doing now was always my ambition, my primary ambition.
So why was that? Was that just an early love of Shakespeare?
It's why I became an actor. All I ever wanted to do was to act on stage and act in Shakespeare.
What was it about his writing that you loved?
I suppose I was somewhat precocious because I was 12 years old when my English teacher first insisted that I read Shakespeare out loud. And immediately I felt comfortable with even language that I didn't understand. I was saying things I didn't know what they meant, but I loved the way that they sounded. I
mean, you've played numerous Shakespeare roles, but at the moment you're just finishing off playing Anthony in Antony and Cleopatra, and you're about to start playing Prospero in The Tempest. Is that a challenge to go between two such different roles?
I don't find it a challenge, it's a treat. We've been doing these two plays as part of the Complete Works Festival with the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford. They're both plays I've done before.
Well, you often get cast in these kind of leader roles. You know, you've obviously Captain Picard and then Charles Xavier in X-Men. Do you think you have those kind of, that gravitas, that leadership quality?
I suppose some people do see that, yes. I think it's all due to my father. My father was a regimental sergeant major in the parachute regiment.
Right.
So I think that something must have rubbed off from him.
The Tempest is supposed to be, there is a thesis that it's Shakespeare's goodbye to the stage. You know, Prospero renounces his magic in the play, and that's Shakespeare kind of saying goodbye. Do you think that that's true?
I think it's hard to avoid that there is a strong element of that in the play. We know that it's the last complete play that he ever wrote. We know that he appeared to retire after it. He left London. The sense of letting go, of giving something up, at the end of that play is very profound.
So you spent a year on the stage doing, you know, these different Shakespeare plays. How does that compare to, say, 12 months working on, you know, films or several films back to back?
On a day's filming of something like X-Men, if it was just say it was a 12-hour day, and often they were longer, if it was a 12-hour working day from getting out of the car to getting back in it to go home in the evening, I would probably be doing my job. That is, being Professor Xavier, speaking dialogue with the camera rolling, for maybe 30 minutes of that day. Yeah, and yet tonight, I'll go down to the Novello Theatre, and it's my show, and Harriet's, and of course the rest of us. But for 3.5 hours, it's unbroken, continuous work.
So we actually saw a little bit of you in Extras at the beginning of this interview, before this interview. How was that process to work on a comedy show like that?
It was all of it was extraordinary from the moment that it was first offered to me, because I was in the supermarket doing some shopping one morning, and my cell phone rang, and this voice said, "Hi, Patrick, it's Ricky Gervais. I'm doing this show. I wonder if you'd like to be in it." Well, of course, I thought it was one of my pals having a bit of a laugh.
Pretending to be Ricky Gervais.
Yeah. And no, he said, it really is. No, it's me. And, we're doing the show and, would you like to? And I said, absolutely. And shooting our conversation together, I think was one of the happiest working days, half days of my life.
I go to the World Cup final, and it's Germany versus England, and I wish that I were playing, and suddenly I am, and I score the winning goal, and they carry me into the dressing room, and there's Rooney and Beckham, and then Posh Spice walks in, and...
Her clothes fall off?
Instantly.
Sure.
And she doesn't know what's happening, but I've seen everything. Again.
It partly appealed to me, I think, because there is a popular image of me, as you've said, of playing these commanding authority figures,
Commander-in-Chief.
Responsible and, not with an obsession about seeing women's clothes fall off, which is a natural obsession to have.
It is, yeah. There are a lot of Shakespeare roles to choose from, but I mean, casting on it a little wider, is there any that you haven't played that you'd really love to have a crack at?
If I had to let go of all the others I haven't played in order to play this one, I would do it, and that would be Falstaff.
Falstaff, you'd have to pack on a bit of beef. I knew you were going to say Falstaff.
Yeah. But that's... Or they can...
They could dress you out a little bit. So, because Falstaff featured, I mean, in several kind of Shakespeare plays, didn't it?
3 plays, but the character that appears in Merry Wives of Windsor, I've always looked on that role as being the middle-aged actor's Hamlet. If you haven't got to play Hamlet, at least you can get to play Falstaff. Well, that one, I'd love to see that, Patrick. Falstaff will definitely do. Fingers crossed for that, and thank you very much for coming in today. You're very welcome. Thank you, Lauren.
Anthony and Cleopatra is at the Novello Theatre until the 17th of February, where you can also catch Patrick as Prospero from February the 28th.